Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the January 17th, 2024 meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We are happy to have you with us tonight. Madam Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Paris?
Here.
Commissioner Strickland? Here. Commissioner May? Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Here.
Mayor Derrick L. Henry.
Motion to excuse Mayor Henry.
Second.
It has,
Vice Mayor and Commissioners, Mayor Henry asked to be absent because he's receiving an award on behalf of the city in Washington, D.C. that he will bring back to the community, and it will be announced at that time.
thank you. We will now move to have the invocation led by.
To vote on the motion,
Oh.
Madam Vice Mayor.
Sorry about that.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in
All
favor?
those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Same sign. This motion passes 6-0. We will now have the invocation led by Commissioner Ken Strickland, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Reed. Please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we're here to do the business for the city of Daytona Beach, to do the best thing for our residents and for our businesses, and we ask that you would watch over us, guide us to do the right thing. We want to thank you for this day and to watch over us as we go forth in the future out of here with everyone and their families. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the December 20th, 2023 City Commission meeting.
So moved. Second.
So we'll take a motion from Commissioner Paris and a second from Commissioner Cantu, I believe. All those in favor? Oh,
Aye.
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 okay, well, all opposed? Same sign? Questions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion passes 6-0. We will now move on to item number 5, agenda approval. If there are any changes, the city manager will read them at this time.
Yes, Honorable Vice Mayor and Commissioners, there is one change. The chamber item on our agenda will be moved to a singular item outside of the consent for a presentation and then a vote.
And just for the audience, that's agenda item 8A.
With those said changes, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move with the said changes.
We'll take a motion by Commissioner Reed and a second by Ken Strickland. Commissioner Strickland, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
We're going to move on to item number 6, which is our special administrative item.
Yes, Honorable Vice Mayor and Commissioners, we are here tonight in reference to the agreement between the Department of Army and the City of Daytona, Army Corps of Engineers and City of Daytona Beach for the Daytona Beach Flood Control Project Feasibility Study. We have some special guests that are here with us, representatives, I think it's Bo Corbett. Hardy, your writing is not that good. Where's Hardy? Come on up, Hardy. Could y'all pass that to Hardy? I'm sorry about that. Your writing is exceptional. My eyes are just bad. Before Hardy introduce those special guests, I do want to recognize the staff of Daytona Beach, those members both present and past who have worked on this item. This goes back to, Hardy says about 2009 for his area, but when the staff submitted something in 2016, the City of Daytona Beach submitted a funding request to Congress under the Water Resources Development Act of 2016 for the United States Army Corps of Engineers to perform a feasibility study for a flood protection project in the area located south of Orange Avenue and north of Double Road, east of Nova Road, and west of South Ridgewood Avenue, which is US 1. There were numerous flooding events that took place over decades for this particular area, and now we find ourselves here tonight. And we are very appreciative for the previous administration, staff members that worked on this project that goes back many years, and the current staff that are here. And so I will allow for Hardy to introduce our special guests that are here tonight, and then we'll move through the regular process of approving or not this project.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
And you can go to the table, and state your name and your position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Hardy Smith, Government Relations Administrator, City of Daytona Beach. Representing the Army Corps of Engineers tonight are Tristan Brown, and everyone's here on the front row, so if you just wave hello. And in a little bit of a handoff of the baton, I guess tonight, right, Bo? Bo Corbett, who has led this effort from the very beginning, from the Jacksonville District Office, and now our new, taking the baton for the City of Daytona Beach project is the new project manager, Jim Lagrone. So Jim, welcome to Daytona Beach. Thank you so very much. We also have Cynthia Miller, representing Congressman Michael Waltz, and who's behind me here. Andrew, representing Senator Marco Rubio. Thank you. Mike Register, the Executive Director of the St. Johns River Water Management District, is with us tonight. Also, thank you so very much. And his Chief of Staff, thank you for being with us. Chris Barone, representing Florida Department of Transportation, District 5, is right behind me here. Thank you, Chris, for being here. And Nancy Kiefer, President of the Daytona Area Regional Chamber of Commerce. Nancy, thank you for being here. This concludes the list of invitations. Guests, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So item 6A is the Utilities Department Agreement between the Department of Army and the City of Daytona Beach Flood Control Project Feasibility Study, Resolution. A resolution authorizing an agreement with the Department of Army for Flood Reduction Project Feasibility Study for the area generally bounded by Orange Avenue, Bevill Road, Nova Road, and Ridgewood Avenue, authorizing the city manager and the city clerk to execute the agreement, and authorizing the city manager and the city attorney to execute any related documents associated with the project, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Okay, we have it been moved by Commissioner Cantu and a second by Commissioner Reed.
And I do have a speaker, Madam Vice Mayor. It's Mr. Frederick Brown.
Thank you. Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge. As I have pointed out in the past, obviously I've been looking very forward to the study, but I am very concerned that we're limiting the boundary to Ridgewood. As many of us know, especially Commissioner May, the flooding goes east of that, and I wish we would move the boundaries out to the river area so it'll incorporate the areas of flooding, which will also include the Esplanade area, as well as all the businesses that are affected along Beach Street. And that really needs to be included in the study, and it needs to be added to that. And this evening would be the best opportunity to do that. I also pray that I passed out information through the city clerk about the dunes of Catwick, and I really wish that the city would emphasize that the Army Corps of Engineers would pursue the possibility of doing that to protect the city. Part of that project could also be utilized to alleviate the flooding east of Ridgewood that's not in the study. So I pray that the city please emphasize that we need this. There's a lot of businesses, a lot of people that are going to be affected by it, and just to stop it at Ridgewood, I think, is a grave mistake. Thank you.
And my next speaker is Pierre Lewis.
Hi, Pierre Lewis, 130 South Franklin Street. If I had to offer my 2 cents, I would like to say I was glad to see that the study got passed. It's working the way it is. I think that those boundaries that they set, obviously we wanted to see it improve, but the way that it stands right there, I do believe you have to start somewhere. And I believe you start where you are, because that area, I think it's Census Tract 821, 820, but in that area it's 822. That area is the one that's been most damaged, and it's the residents that live in that area, they actually have to have different flood mitigation insurance that's in that area. So I'm glad we started somewhere. So I champion you for this. Thank you.
And I have no more speakers, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do you have any comments or discussions from the commission at this time?
Okay. I was just going to ask the question as to how we deal with the other areas like Beach Street and North Beach Street as far as flooding goes in the future, since they're not included with this study. And is there any way we could include those areas now, or is it too late?
I can answer that for you. No, it's a Pacific area, and you cannot. But I was going to discuss this after the meeting, maybe doing a resolution, because there is state funding with the DEP resiliency. And I know we can't do it this session because the session had already started, but maybe we can have staff look at something at a state level in the next session. And then, if that helps you.
So the second question that Commissioner Strickland asked was, do we have anything else that we can do on Beach Street? Don't have to address it tonight, but are there still things that we're working on with Beach Street? Also, could somebody please take a moment and explain to the residents watching what would happen if we said, can we add it? What is the process? If we were to say, can we add it, what would happen?
We would have to start completely over.
I recognize that, but just for the residents listening, I want them to understand exactly what would happen, what the repercussions would be, so that it's not just that we're overlooking it or choosing not to do it. Could somebody address that, please?
And I don't think we're overlooking Beach Street. That is businesses. It's been decades over there in Midtown with the flooding, and I think the businesses had just started probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we are concerned about that, and that's why I would like to discuss this more at the end of the meeting.
I would like to state that I am very happy that we're doing what we're doing in Midtown. I just felt like that it was needed some explanation for our residents about the other areas that are in need.
I would agree with that, and that was the point of asking for the explanation.
I would like to make that statement as well, because it affects Zone 1, 2, and 3.
Is there a particular, if I can, Hardy Smith, Government Relations Administrator for the City of Daytona Beach. And I don't want to sound flip about this or condescending in any way. Commissioner Cantu is correct. The process is the process. We're following the Army Corps of Engineers process. It's a very detailed, very structured process. The boundaries in this particular feasibility study were first identified back in 2009. If you recall the unnamed storms at that point, that's how long we've been working on this. We started with Congressman John Mica, when Congressman Mica was chairman of Subcommittee on Appropriations for Transportation and Infrastructure, and the Army Corps reported to him. So from 2000, it took from 2009 to 2016 to get into the Army Corps support, and for being in their chief's report to the Congress, which was a heck of a heavy lift in Washington, and actually moved by, you would think, glacial speed, but is actually lightning fast speed in Washington terms. So in 2016, Congress, by specific declaration, specific wording, authorized Daytona Beach, Florida, in the 2016 Clean Water Act for an Army Corps of Engineers feasibility study for Midtown flooding situation. So, okay, great. Okay, you're going to get your study. That doesn't mean you're going to get the money, though. So from 2016 till when, Bo? End of 2022, somewhere ballpark around. So it took from 16 to 22 to get, and that was, and let me just back up, because this is very significant. If for some reason if we wanted to say, let's put a pause on it and rethink this, the Army Corps is under congressional mandate for only being able to have 5 new start projects a year nationwide. You guys help me if I'm off on this terminology. That's 5 new projects nationwide. Does make no matter what the project is or the dollar amounts involved. So a $3 million study or a $300 kajillion study of project, it doesn't matter. So 5 new projects. Out of the 5, only 2 by congressional rule are allowed to be related to flood mitigation projects. So it's Daytona Beach against the rest of the country every year in a tournament to be one of 2. So it's taken us from 2016 to 2022. I can say that the only way we were successful in 2022 was because of congressional language, it's their rules. The congressional language in 2022 for a hurricane disaster supplemental bill. In the language, Congress waived the 5 new start rules and said, we're going to open this up. And this was Florida specific in this particular congressional bill. Congressman Waltz, Senator Rubio, Senator Scott worked like bulldogs to get us to be approved as one of those, opportunities for funding. And that's how we got to this point tonight. And so with the leadership of our congressional delegation, primarily Congressman Waltz at the lead, Senator Rubio, I think thanks to the influence of Commissioner Reed's personal intervention during a flooding situation, said, okay, instead of splitting $3 million 50-50, the Army Corps is going to pick up the whole $3 million. So again, a very strict set of rules, and I can't go there with that next comment. So let me just say that's where we are. That's where the process is. Certainly some great ideas for looking at state resiliency money, other things, but I better stop there.
Yeah. And beyond that, staff continues to look at ways to focus on other areas that flood throughout. So the resiliency funds, long-term utility projects that are taking place right now with our Utilities Department and Public Infrastructure will also assist in us trying to alleviate some of the flooding that takes place in our community. So it's not just that this study is the only thing we're looking at. Even when this study is going on, the utilities and public infrastructure staff will continue to look at other ways to improve our infrastructure in the city.
So for residents watching, hoping that I'm hearing the right thing, it's based on information from 2016, and we were locked into it based on 2016. All funds and boundaries were allocated because of 2016, and therefore moving those boundaries or adding would mean that we're starting all over again when it's already taken us a little under 10 years to get to where we are today. Is that, in a nutshell,
Yes.
correct? Okay, I do have a question. We said 2 to 3 years for the study?
Yes.
After that, what happens? Some residents are under the belief that, and then things start. But I just want the truth in terms of length of time, approximately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bo Corbett, Jacksonville, Florida. I'm with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So the congressional process that was outlined by Mr. Hardy is generally correct. So first, there is a request, a problem statement, and a request to Congress for assistance. You all received the authorization in WRDA 2016. So that was authorized. Then you must receive appropriation. So that appropriation is what is bringing us here tonight. And so the authorization was for a study that's going to figure out what, there's a problem statement, now we have to come up with a solution. So you're authorized for that. 2023 it was the 22-23, the DRSA law, it led into 23. So we were funded, appropriation was provided to work on this study. And so that's what we're going to start on. Once the study is complete, Right now, the Corps of Engineers Smart Planning, 3 years, 3 levels of review, $3 million. $3 million is on the federal government, so that is a pretty special arrangement. That is unique. That does not happen very often. So once the study is complete, there's a recommendation on the solution to the problem is provided to Congress. So then the next step is Congress must then act to authorize the construction of that project that's going to solve the problem that was stated in the study. So that will be in some future word of bill, typically. Now it's authorized. It's still not funded. Once it's authorized, then there must be an appropriation to fund that construction project. And of course, that will be likely cost shared with the city, not likely that it will be fully funded. I believe it would be 65-35, if I'm not mistaken, for this type of project. 35 would be for the city. So you're about a little less than halfway in that appropriation process. So the challenging part to understand is that gap between authorization and appropriation. It depends on Congress. And then once the project solution or the recommended plan is provided, then again, it's how long does it take Congress to act to actually authorize that construction project? And then how long does it take for Congress again to appropriate, taking into consideration the national need?
So the first time round, we were in competition with other cities across the country for help, correct? Is that the same case now since we're doing the study with them, they're paying for that? Is it a guarantee that they're going to continue with us? Or do we go into another process of a selection process? Does that happen again?
Every project competes at every step. So understand that every town in every state and every county in the United States of America has a problem. And those problems are all taken into consideration by Congress. And that's why Mr. Hardy was saying why tonight is so special. This doesn't happen all the time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. And Commissioner, if I might, just to piggyback, I'm kind of a sports nut, so I put things in a sense of tournaments. If you look at it like this, the Army Corps of Engineers feasibility study that Daytona Beach is now about to embark on with your approval, it is the prerequisite. Let me state that again. It is the prerequisite, the requirement to be eligible for any federal funding related to this activity. And we have seen preliminary estimates of anywhere from, not from the Army Corps, but our own estimates, anywhere from $100 to $200 million. So that's what we're talking about. So in the sense of, Commissioner, are we competing with approval tonight? We just eliminated a whole lot of competition because they don't have what we're hopefully about to get. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, let it be known by. We did that already. So we are now going to get ready to sign the resolution, so I'm going to ask all of the commission to come down.
Right now, we're just going to, if there are any more city commission questions, and then if you'll call for the vote.
Okay.
We have the motion in a second.
Any more questions and
Yeah.
comments?
Just based on what we were discussing earlier, we're planning on sitting down following this. It still sounds like we're down the road, which is a great start, but we're heading down a process, a really long road, and I don't want to give people a false idea of what's going to happen because we ultimately have to answer those questions. So given that there's time periods going on, we're still planning on addressing areas of the city, coming up with a plan, and working toward helping, in the meantime, mitigation of some sort, et cetera, as this continues on. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Just for the sake of asking, would it be possible that what we're embarking on here would have a positive effect on the things that are not included in this going forward?
Blue Corps, Jacksonville District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Yes, sir. We would do this. We wouldn't do it in a vacuum. I mean, this project will be done with the city, and so these studies takes into consideration the entire environment in which it's being done. While it is bound by a specific authorization to what the resulting solution is, that doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation. And that doesn't mean that the benefits of this study are not far-reaching beyond that authorization. You can use this study however you see fit. It's going to be in the public record. It's paid for by the people.
I'd like to say something. I'd like to first of all thank my colleagues for those questions because we all received the emails asking those questions. So we've put it out there for the community to hear. And I also like to thank the Army Corps of Engineers for accepting Daytona Beach. And let's get ready. It's about time. Although you could have gone one more block and included my house, but it's okay. I can tell the citizenry they didn't do the commissioner either, so.
That's true. That's very true.
And I would like to add, I would also like to thank Congressman Michael Waltz as well.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Okay. Commissioner Reed,
Certainly, yes.
Commissioner Paris,
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantu,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry.
Yes.
Okay. Passes 6.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, we're going to go down and we're going to sign now. And after that, we're going to go right into a 5-minute break to give the clerk time to reset. Thank you.
What now? There we go. Okay.
Who's all on there to sign? And then he signed it already, right? Okay.
Sign. Blue, do blue.
Okay.
Where's, there's 4 copies.
Zone 1, 2, that way. So you guys want to pass. Each get a pen. They're good pens.
Letitia. Letitia, turn around, look behind you. Rachel. We're gonna need all of them to come stand behind you. Yes.
I think that, yeah, you've got. Tish can fill in the date.
We're gonna have all of them to stand behind them too.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's Tish?
So you know when you're ready. Tish, get them all. Marty, they can come back here. Come stand back here.
Put yours on. Yep.
We'll see you all pictures somewhere. We'll see you all pictures. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you need any copies of the contract tonight?
They're right here. I just signed them all.
No, the clerk's got to sign and I've got to sign. So we're going to
So we're
get
gonna
that
take a
done.
5-minute break.
We're going to take a 5-minute break and get it done during that time. Sure thing. Okay, thanks.
What's going on? Look, I'm glad.
You in the Jacksonville office?
But Texas, you can, you need to come up here.
Okay.
We're going to call the meeting back to order.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 7, which is citizen comments. And during this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item that's on the consent agenda. Our first speaker is Evelyn Rodriguez, and on deck is Frederick Brown, both speaking on 8B.
Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. I pulled this off from the city website. It's the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund program, which with eligibility criteria for businesses, ineligibility. The first 2 of 6 requirements is that the business must be located within the city limits of Daytona Beach, and the business must have a current business tax receipt issued by the city. This TripleFit Inc., according to the State Department of Sunbiz, they're located in Port Orange. None of the offices are in Daytona Beach. I checked downstairs with your business tax office. They do not have a business tax receipt. They don't have anybody under that name doing business in the city of Daytona Beach. I also checked with the other one, which is Volusia Tigers, Inc. This is interesting because they have an address with the Ormond Beach zip code. It says LPGA Avenue. The TripleFit, I believe, is totally ineligible for any funds, but this Tiger one, well, you know, from what I can find on the internet, it's like little football kids, you know, which is nice. But I think the city should hold these people up to a higher standard. Okay, if they made a mistake on their corporation information and put the wrong address, actually, if you say 1555 LPGA Boulevard, this says Avenue, that's the Salvation Army. So I could see where, you know, we want to, but I think we should hold them responsible for being professional and maybe postpone this until they fix their records. But I really think that neither of them fit the city's criteria for eligibility under this program to get funds. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to make a comment regarding that.
You can have a seat, Ms. Rodriguez.
The TripleFit is a 501c3 that's in partnership with the Daytona Beach business. In order for them to get the full funding and it not be taxed, TripleFit is their partner. The Volusia Tigers is the new football team for young people in the city that came before us that needed assistance, and it's at the Salvation Army where they're preparing these young people.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown.
Thank you, Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge. Yes, I concur a lot with what Evelyn had to say. And I also did my research on this too. And I agree heavily with trying to help nonprofit organizations in this recovery. But I do think, and perhaps our city attorney, Mr. Gross, could give us some more insight on how this works. The organization of Volusia Tigers, it sounds terrific. All the principals except one are all located in either Flagler or in Ormond Beach. So as much as I think the kids need support, and I agree with that, whose city is benefiting from that, and are we outside the lines? Because, you know, Lord knows we already have one ACLU lawsuit against the city now. I don't think we need more about misspending the funds. But again, I love kids. I want to support them, but let's do it the right way. And Evelyn is correct. A lot of the application, you know, boulevards, avenues, all these things were incorrect. And the other company, as you said, is in a partnership, that wasn't stated anywhere. So again, it was we didn't understand that, but the company is definitely in Port Orange. So I don't know if it's up to Port Orange to help out in that, or is it straight, if it's gonna be strictly Daytona to benefit, then I agree. But that wasn't clear in the presentation in the minutes. So Again, if Mr. Gross would give us an insight on doing it the right way, Lord knows we don't need more lawsuits. Thank you.
The Volusia Tigers, a new football program, is in the heart of Zone 5. And they're going to be taking up a lot of the slack from the Daytona Beach Bucks organization that can't handle any more of the children that we have in our city. So this is a wonderful opportunity for all children in the city of Daytona Beach to take advantage of, to be mentored, to be loved on, to be coached, and to participate in activities in the city. I'm going to encourage more people to please give to the Volusia Tigers. They really need it. And I know the Bucks service over 300 of our children, and a lot of that flow that they can no longer handle is going to flow into the Volusia Tigers. And I want to thank the Volusia Tigers for doing that for the community. Thank you.
And that was my final speaker on the consent agenda.
Ben, is it possible that there's a description of where the money is going to go to moving forward? And also, if this is a new organization, was it in existence when COVID happened? Because I think that was one of the requirements.
The resolution requires that the funds be spent solely for the benefit of Daytona Beach residents. In terms of the issues that Ms. Rodriguez brought up, I would need to look at the written guidelines. I'm not sure what she's reading from. I didn't separately review this request against whatever written policies we have. My understanding from talking with the Deputy City Manager, Drew Driscoll, who did put this together, is that this does comply with your policies, but I haven't independently reviewed that.
Would it be okay to review it and bring it back for our next agenda meeting?
I'd be happy to do that if you want. You'd have to remove that item from the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to remove it and bring it back to the next agenda.
All those, a motion has been made?
Second.
Oh. We have a motion, and we have a motion by Commissioner Paris, a second by Commissioner Ken Strickland.
And just to be clear, this is item 8B. You'd be removing it from tonight's consent agenda and tabling it for the next.
That's correct.
Right?
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Aye.
Did you vote, Commissioner May? Yeah.
I'm really not against giving funds for kids, but I would want to make sure that we don't end up with something questionable later on as the latest thing that has flared up. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, there he is.
What's
I apologize for the delay. Drew Driscoll, Deputy City Manager and Fire Chief. Good evening, Commission. Before us this evening is a donation item, as we have been doing previously. As far as COVID compliance, it's general fund dollars. If we wish to make a donation to an organization, we can make that donation. It is not subject to the U.S. Department of Treasury rules regarding COVID. We put the stipulation within the memorandum that it is for the benefit of the residents or citizens of the city of Daytona Beach.
So as far as you know, we're in complete compliance. You handle it constantly. So if that's the case, then I'd like to change my vote to a yes, given that everything's been looked into.
To pull the item, not to approve it.
Okay, to pull the item. I don't mind keeping it then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with keeping it.
All right, sorry for the delay.
So the motion that was voted on failed because it didn't have a majority vote. You don't need to take any further action unless somebody wants to remove this from the agenda, but the result of the motion is that it is not removed from the agenda.
Just for people watching at home, when we have a request. We have a process that everybody goes through, that they're vetted, everything is taken care of, staff takes care of it, all the research is done. Is that correct?
It's the responsibility of staff to review that and make sure of that for you, sure.
And as it relates to the Corona fiscal funds, how we use it, we also have somebody who's handling that and says this is eligible and this is not eligible, correct?
Yeah.
So this is information I know. I'm saying this for the edification of people at home.
And our
Yeah.
office does backstop staff on agenda items. I just wasn't familiar with the document that Ms. Rodriguez was reading from. I don't know if that was an informational document or if it could apply to different types of grants than what we're talking about here.
Sure.
I didn't know that answer off.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, does any member of the commission wish to remove any item from the consent agenda that has not already been removed?
8A, I would like 8A removed.
It had already been removed. Yep.
Okay.
Eight? Yes.
So
I move that we accept the consent agenda with the said changes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Cantu. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. So we're going to move on to item 8A, which was pulled from the consent agenda. And we'll have a presentation from Staff Member Jeff Brown. Let me go ahead and read it into the record. Is City Manager's Office approval of the lease between Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce and the City of Daytona Beach resolution. A resolution approving a lease agreement with the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce, Inc. for the Chamber of Commerce building located at 126 East Orange Avenue for an initial term of 3 years with automatic one-year renewal options, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Honorable Vice Mayor and Commissioners, we're going to allow for Mr. Brown to make a presentation unless there is a motion before the presentation.
Second.
Okay, read.
So we allow for Mr. Brown to make a presentation. I know Nancy Kiefer is here, and we'll stand for any questions if there are.
Thank you, Mr. Fiacher. Jeff Brown, Economic Development and Strategic Opportunities Director. The lease before you this evening is for 1,579 square feet of office space located, as the item says, at the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce has been reconstructing their building for the last 9 months approximately. We had discussions with the staff, with Nancy and staff, before that started about potentially moving economic development into that space to allow for some synergy to exist between the chamber and our department, working with new businesses and existing businesses in the city of Daytona Beach. So we went through, we had, during the budget process, we had conversations about this, and the item was placed into the budget. So the lease is for, like I said, the 1,500 square feet that we would have exclusive use of on the first floor. It also contemplates us having additional use of 3,426 square feet on the first floor. And if you remember back, the chamber is building a business resource center on the first floor as well, and that would give all of the city staff and the city as a whole access to that space as well, along with their meetings room space on the second floor. The lease document that you have with you does call for $150,000 or up to $150,000 for the reconstruction of that office space. The lease that is proposed is for $5,800 per month. I presented a breakdown of that monthly rent to you so you can see how that was broken down. That $5,800 also does include all of the utilities for our space. Any questions?
Before you proceed, I wanted to add a little bit more context of the movement of particular departments to the area. We currently have our enterprise department is housed in our marina, as well as our utilities department. We have entities that are interested in our marina building that will be able to pay more rent for that. I think our business enterprise, working with our economic development, will be essential to the partnerships we're trying to build within the chamber building. Just for historical perspective, the communities that I came from beforehand, the chamber, the city, and economic development were all housed, as well as Main Street. We don't have a Main Street program here in Daytona. They were housed in the same buildings in those other communities. The synergy that I think can be built upon the work relationships that we're trying to have, not only with our business community, but for other individuals who want to have access to different entities, different businesses. Having these groups, the business enterprise coming from the marina that can be space, and also finding location for our utilities department will allow for us to open back up our marina space for fair market value for people to rent the facilities. One of the things that we've been talking to is the TPO has been discussing for a while being able to transition into our marina space as office space as well. They're currently housed at our tennis courts, which we will be going to them about the space. The business incubator space and the small business program project that you all contributed funds to, talking with Nancy Kiefer and members of the chamber, this will be essential for those businesses that may not have access to some of the expertise that are there to have that within our chamber building. The partnerships are essential for us as a community based on me as the city manager, my recommendation to you all, and that's why I support this particular effort for us, but also that it will help our marina to be able to flourish without the city taking up space as city employees in a place that is a business enterprise facility. And those are just additional comments, but I know Ms. Kiefer is here if she wanted to make any statements. I've seen her. I don't see her. If she wants to make any comments, and then you all can have questions for us as well.
And
then public speaker.
Yeah, if there are no questions, Nancy Kiefer, business address 126 East Orange Avenue. We have several of our board members here. I would ask you to raise your hands because they all believe in the importance of this partnership as well. So that I hope, if you've got any specific questions to chamber, I'm happy to answer them. None? Well, we'd appreciate your support.
I have a question for the manager. How does the rent that we're going to be paying compare with fair market rent?
Jeff, you want to come on up?
So the rent is actually it's $25 a square foot for our office space. Right now, Class A, as I noted in my memo to y'all, that you can go out to out there at LPGA and Cornerstone, thank you, and it's $30 a square foot. So we're actually cheaper than what the Cornerstone is. However, the benefit for us being here is just what the manager was talking about, was the synergy and working and being close with the Chamber of Commerce and working with both of our customers.
So it's $5 a square foot cheaper here than it is at Cornerstone?
Correct.
Thank you.
I just want to thank the chamber for coming tonight. I was looking over the numbers. I know that back in January, we had donated $300,000 of the COVID funds to be spent in the development of Small Business Resource Center. So that is not included in this, correct?
Correct.
That is correct. That is for the, I'll call it the shared access space downstairs was where the Business Resource Center is going to be located.
Okay, so when you mentioned we had use of the space, is this the space that's in question?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we donated the $300,000 to already?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, that was part of the coronavirus funds. The Chamber's raised $3 million to refurbish this building. Most of that has come from the private sector. That $300,000 grant allowed us to move ahead with the business training center, the collaboration areas, and keep on target to get to an April 1 grand opening of the new building.
Thank you. My other question was because we would be spending another $150,000 towards renovations, or up to. So that's another 300 plus 150, 450. Plus another 3 years in rent, that's another 210,000. So we're already at like almost 700 grand. I was just a little concerned because I don't think this is a time that we should be spending money on new projects, and even on our Halifax Plaza, we have one space that we're renting. It's 1,754,000 square feet, and they're only paying $2,329, but that's not included with utilities. So I just wanted to know if there's any way that we could be a little bit more conservative and what the benefit would be bringing our office people to the chamber.
Are you asking me?
Whoever would like to answer.
Yeah. I think that the partnerships that we're creating, helping those different entities to be able to have access to that, the relationships is essential for our community. And I understand the concerns. I think that we can really elevate our marina, the usages of it, bringing in different groups right now, other than having the city's business enterprise and utilities departments in those spaces.
I'd like to add to that. The marina is a beautiful location for businesses to be housed, and there can be prime dollars spent on rental. And we have 2 of our departments that are there, and we're receiving nothing. They have this elegant space, and we're receiving nothing for it. We can utilize that rent to help offset some of these costs, and I think we should take advantage of this. I am for this event, for this.
Correct. I believe the TPO was actually looking at that project before. We had to put them at the tennis courts, and we're having to have our meetings at the airport, which that room is very small downstairs. So I think they will really want that property.
Yeah, and the funds that we do receive is returned back into the city. It's almost like the city is putting funds back into our own coffers for that, and so we're trying to actually have different entities to pay into it and not just base rates.
What's the rate that's going to be charged for that space over there?
That's going to be something that we negotiate when we have new clients, new tenants that want to go in there. It will not be below market rate.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, I do have one public speaker that signed up for this item, Mr. John Nicholson.
I didn't realize no one was going to speak. John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. Over the holidays, about a dozen of my friends and neighbors made comments on this item, and it kind of shook me. This is a no-brainer. This is what we did 30 years ago and 20 years ago when we would have the meetings upstairs. Instead of the people coming in, having to go out to the fire department, get an okay, go out to the planning, get an okay, go to the water, get an okay. Instead of going to 12 different locations, all those people sat around a table, they brought their project, and everything was done within hours or an hour. This kind of thing is the exact same thing. It's a way of consolidating and making it a lot easier for us. Now, Jim Chisholm is a great mathematician. He did wonders with our budget. But he liked to do things alone, and he didn't work well with others, all right? He did not want to work well with the chamber. He didn't do well with the county council, didn't work well with the school board. The idea that we are now working with others is to our benefit, and it's something that we should always do. This is a no-brainer. The money, the things that people are talking about are all incorrect. This is not an expensive rent. The remodeling, we spent $79,000 on half the space on the bathrooms. Now, you realize the size of the bathrooms. This is 1,500 square feet. How many bathrooms could we put there? Would it be $150, $200, $250,000? If we can spend that here, this is a heck of a lot cheaper. And also, it's to our benefit to have the camaraderie, to have the ability to walk across the hallway and catch them immediately. So I'm asking you to do what we ought to do and do this 6-0. Thank you.
And I did have one additional speaker, Madam Mayor, it's Ann Ruby.
Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I think a strong partnership between the chamber and the city is a great thing, but I think it would be really nice if the chamber would offer almost scholarship programs for nonprofits who want to join and small new businesses who want to join. Because I know it can be quite pricey, and there's a lot of advantages to being involved in the chamber. So I would hope that if the city's going to make this commitment to this partnership, the chamber could make the same partnership back towards city residents.
I see Nancy coming, but they do those type of.
Thank you very much, Ann. I appreciate that. We just completed a program called Daytona Business United. We graduated 25 businesses that we scholarship for 2 years. And our organization gave them free access to events. And this is something that we do want to continue. And I think part of the business center, the importance of that is the opportunity to bring businesses together in our building and really help them a lot more. The space that's going to be available is going to be incredible. If you remember when we talked about the original $300,000, that was at the request that was coming because there wasn't meeting space available. After hours, we have gone for the technology where we can let people in the building after hours by code. So there's going to be a lot more meeting space available. So I want to thank you for your comments and assure you that we are continually thinking about how we help small business and specifically those that need a hand up.
It's so nice to see how one of the business trips we took to St. Petersburg, actually, that's where this saw it as a group. I recognize a lot of people who were on that trip, where we actually saw this in action. It's so nice to see how we went from an idea into actually doing it. So thank you so much.
Any more questions or comments from the commission? Okay, I think we have a motion and a
We
second.
do. A motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Cantu.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay, motion passes 5-1.
Okay. We're going to move on to our public hearings and quasi-judicial hearings. Item number 9. Item 9A is the Growth Management and Planning Department Body Piercing Land Development Code Text Amendment. I'm going to give them a second.
We'll give them a second to clear.
Okay, this is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance amending the Land Development Code, tables 5.2.8.2, 5.2.8.3, and 5.2.8.4 to add body piercing establishment as a permitted use in all zoning districts where tattoo establishments are permitted, amending LDC Section 5.2.B.22 to remove prohibitions of body piercing establishments, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Paris. All those in favor?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. I do have one speaker for this item. It's Robert Howard.
Vice Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the City Commission, good to see you again. Wow, you guys are like kicking things down the curb, frying big fish tonight. Congratulations. I think that's a big accomplishment. I was glad I was here for that. Kind of felt like I was backstage to some concert or something. Got to witness all that signing, you know, that was pretty cool. And to deal with the Army and get through their red tape, man, that's a heck of an accomplishment. That's my brothers in the military, though, so they'll come through for you in the end. But anyway, to the subject, the body piercing, I've talked to you guys over the past year, and you kind of know where it's at, where I'm at with it. The last few months have been really struggling for all small businesses on Beachside, including, even some of the bigger places, Ocean Deck, I know owners and the Streamline. Everybody's kind of suffering, so this is definitely going to help me, hopefully, save my business this year and be able to put my little young man through college one day. So I appreciate your support during this, and if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. All right. Thank you.
That was my only speaker, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign? Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. We're going to move on to, to item 9B, the Growth Management Planning Department Neighborhood Notice Requirements, Land Development Code Text Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance amending Section 3.3 of the Land Development Code to modify procedures for neighborhood meetings subject to conditions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner May and a second by Commissioner Reed. All those in favor?
Speakers.
We have no speakers?
I just have a question. If this is approved, I just want to know when it would go into effect and which projects are subject to these new requirements.
Yeah, the ordinance goes into effect in accordance with law. I think the usual process under the statute is 10 days.
And then what projects, does it is it retroactive or any new projects that
Any
come to us?
projects that would require notice of a neighborhood meeting after the date of, on which the ordinance goes into effect. But let me say that the planning director asked me earlier this week if we should give a heads up to somebody who was about to do a notice of neighborhood meeting that would have been published prior to the effective date of this ordinance, and suggest that they go ahead and do the additional notice that this ordinance requires, just to make sure there's compliance. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah.
Any more questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 9C. It's a Growth Management Planning Department, 1219 Ruger Place, Plan Development General. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 0.225 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the east side of Ruger Place, south of Silver Beach Avenue, north of Bostwick Avenue, at 1217, 1219, and 1221 Ruger Place, from SFR 5, Single Family Residential 5, to PDG, Plan Development General, approving the 1219 Ruger Place Plan District Agreement to memorialize the existing non-conforming 3-unit multifamily complex comprised of a duplex dwelling and one-story garage apartment accessory dwelling unit on the property, subject to certain conditions, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we're going to take a motion from Commissioner Paris and a second from Commissioner Strickland. Any speakers?
I do have one speaker, Mr. John Nicholson, and then I have Jessica Gao here for any questions.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. When this first came up, a gentleman came up to you opposing it. If you look at the map, there is a Sunoco gas station right next to this property. Across the street is a condo. This is halfway between residential and commercial. This is really a duplex, basically, with an addition in the back. It's been a duplex since the 20s. What they're going to do is they're going to renovate it. If you look at it, without those 2 palm trees in the front, it is an exquisite building. There are homes across the street that are like $1 million homes. All this does is it increases the value of the property, increases the look of the neighborhood. It's a win-win on all concerns. And from what I understand, he's the only neighbor that opposes it. So I'm asking you to make it a 6-0, so the business people know that we're a city. If you want to renovate, if you want to fix up, clean up, that we're behind you 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Only other speaker.
That was our last speaker for that item. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Moving on to item 9D, it's a Growth Management Planning Department, Daytona Tennis Center. This is a resolution. A resolution approving the Second Amendment to the public use permit previously issued for Florida Tennis Center, located in the southwest corner of LBJ Boulevard and International Tennis Drive at 1 Deuce Court, authorizing the professional use at the facility, repealing all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Okay, we're going to take a motion from Commissioner Strickland and a second from Commissioner May. Any questions from the commission?
I do have one speaker, Madam Mayor. It's John Nicholson.
Mr. Nicholson, come on up.
You're the next contestant.
John Nicholson, 413. I've been at the center often. There's not a lot of excess land, so if there was a section that you're going to do this, I'm wondering exactly where it's going to be. That building that we have there, it is the most awkward center I've ever seen. You walk into a square cubicle, and there's nothing there but an elevator and a set of stairs. It is the ugliest look that I've ever seen. So I'm asking you, where are we going to tear down this building and put a more appropriate one? Are we going to tear out tennis courts? Where are we going to put all this additional commercial space? Not that I oppose commercial space. It'd be great to have a restaurant there. I mean, seriously, not only will the tennis people use it religiously, like at a golf course, that restaurant is always busy. It'd be great to do that. So I'm asking you, a little bit more information wouldn't hurt, but I absolutely agree with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson.
Madam Vice Mayor, would you like me to provide a little bit more detail on this?
Please.
Yeah. So the public use permit that's already in place for the facility includes the site plan for the facility. So if there was going to be a plan to raise the building, remove tennis courts, the public use permit would need to be amended. That's all baked into the public use permit. The request was to add office space, really to address a use that this commission approved several months ago that allows the TPO, the River to Sea TPO, to be in that building where it is renting office space. At the time that the lease was brought forward, there should have been an amendment to the public use permit to allow the use, but there wasn't. The resolution in front of you would allow office space, but only for the city or other public users. If there was a proposal to fully open this up for commercial use at some later point, there would need to be a different report brought to you in order to address why it remains a public use positive thing to allow a private business entity to use the facility. That's not what's requested. This was really just to sort of dot the i's and cross the t's regarding the TPO's current occupancy of a portion of the building at the tennis center.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the ayes have it. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 10, which is the introduction of ordinances. This is for commission comments and questions only. Item 10A is City Clerk's Office amending Ordinance 96403, Charter Review Commission Procedures. This is the introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending Ordinance number 96403 relating to the Charter Review Commission to revise appointment, meeting, notice, and reporting requirements, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for effective dates.
So
And,
moved.
I'm sorry, we don't have to
It's a public hearing.
we don't have to do it, sorry.
Thank you.
Now, there's no need to vote on this on first reading, but I talked with Ms. LaMagna about the need for this ordinance, and I want to mention to you that the problem with the ordinance that set up the Charter Review Commission, that is Ordinance 96403, as written right now, is that it requires a minimum of 9 months prior to the date of the next election that the Charter Review Committee is formed. You have not received sufficient applicants representing all of the commissioner zones to form a Charter Review Committee at this point. And while there is no proposal to change the requirement in Ordinance 96403 that each of the 7 members and each alternate represent one, the 7 separate zones, or the 6 separate zones plus the at-large, that's not being proposed. There still needs to be some work done to generate additional applicants. And Tish, can you tell the commission where we're lacking applicants?
We were lacking 1 in 5 and 6, and then 2 in Zone 3. Now, since this item came on the agenda, I've had additional applications, so I'm hoping for the next meeting we will be able to, after this is passed, be able to, but we still need to pass this in order to basically not violate our own charter. And also, if you look in the backup, I changed it so we could even start it earlier than what they proposed. So the next time around that we do a charter review, we don't have to do it in such a, no later than 9 months or earlier than 10 months. We can have a little bit more time to have.
I thought that was 5, 6, and 3.
Yeah, did I not say that?
I said 1.
It was 5, 6, and 3, but that has them. That we need, and we have had applications come in for 3 and for 5 and for 6. So yeah.
So if they're in your zones, or if you want to encourage people from those zones to submit applications so they could be on the list for you all to decide, please do so.
And so the public hearing and final action of this item will be February 7th. Okay. So we're moving on to item number 11, which is our administrative items. Item 11A is the Finance Department. It's established the 2024 Audit Selection Committee resolution. This is a resolution establishing an auditor selection committee to assist the selection of professional auditing services, authorizing issuance of a request for proposals for professional auditing services, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Okay, we're going to take a moved by Commissioner Cantu and a second by Commissioner Strickland.
We do need to select who they want on the board.
An elected official.
One of them has to be an elected official, according to what I read in the backup.
Right, the statute was amended earlier this year to require one of you to be on that committee, and whoever is selected from this commission would actually need to be the chair of the Audit Review Committee. So the Audit Review Committee is something that's statutorily required whenever a city goes to hire an auditor to do the statutorily required annual audit.
Also, I'm going to have our acting CFO, Christina, come and just communicate what takes place with the audit selection, so you all can know when you make the decision of being the chair of whichever elected official.
Christine Aiken, Interim Chief Financial Officer. It does require one of the, as mentioned earlier, commission member to be the chair of the, and your responsibility would be to chair the selection committee to publish a request for proposal to select new auditors. You would be responsible for evaluating the RFPs when they come in to select the auditors. We do have from the prior committee members, 2 of them who have expressed their interest in to serve another term. And I also had interest from our former CFO, who would also have an interest in serving if you so required. I have outlines of a copy of the statute if you so need it, which kind of give you the rundown of all that is needed for this process.
And so I did have Christina come up because I wanted you all to see who our current acting CFO. She's been with the organization for a while and in the accounting field. So, but she's looking for someone from the commission to help chair this committee. She'll be there as the staff support.
I'll do that if nobody has a problem with it.
Commissioner Cantu was interested as well. Do we need to vote on which one? You gonna let him do it?
So
Okay.
you need to actually have the 3 names that you want to approve for selection. Christina, you probably should list the names of the people that you're talking about, the 2 that have been on the committee, and of course, Ms. Bliss was our recently
Prior
retired
committee
CFO.
members, yes, I do have Tom Cox, is a CPA with Brown & Brown, and Dan Bolerjack is a CPA with Bolerjack, Alsema, and Bowling and White. They're the 2 prior members who have an interest in serving. And the composition of the committee should be at least 3 members. That doesn't mean you're restricted to 3.
I was gonna ask that.
Okay.
So these are her recommendations, and I support those as well.
So she's already recommending 3, which includes our prior CFO, and we've decided on Commissioner Strickland. Do we need to make a motion on those?
That would be 4.
Well,
That'd be 4?
And I'm sorry, I would recommend that you not choose 4 because you could have a tie vote.
But are we going to add Ms. Maziki?
We have Sigita Mazika too. She's a retired former financial business analyst as well. And both Patricia and Sigita are in 2 separate zones.
So we can add all of those plus the commissioner that will take
I'll
us
make it
beyond just 4.
Okay.
All right. I move that we accept Christine's recommendation for the board, including Commissioner Strickland as our representative.
I second.
Any more questions from the commission?
I had no one sign up to speak on this item.
Okay. We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Cantu. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Christine.
We're going to move on to item 11B, which is the Growth Management and Planning Department Bike Week 2024 Master Plan for Private Property. The resolution, a resolution approving the Bike Week 2024 master plan for outside activities on private property, authorizing outside activities during the Bike Week 2024 on private property located on Main Street, Peninsula Drive, Halifax Avenue, Beach Street, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, Martin Luther King Boulevard, Weaver Street, Harvey Avenue, and Oak Street pursuant to Land Development Code Section 5.4.C.11 and the Bike Week Master Plan Guidelines, subject to conditions, denying certain applications for participation in the master plan, subject to special magistrate review, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we're going to take a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Reed.
Comments from me?
Any comments?
Yes, I do have comments before we have that. Within the Bike Week Master Plan, there were a few clerical items that needed to be communicated. The task force submitted recommendations. We had 3 individuals, in all we had 6 that were on a list. However, because of clerical issues, 3 should have not been on the list for denial. 3 will have to go through the special magistrate process. That's Brooks Cleaners, Made in the Shade, and Chrisman's. The 3 that had a clerical issue dealt with Triumph Church, which is included and being approved in the master plan, Stewart Memorial United Methodist Church, and Froggy's Saloon with entertainment. There are some clerical issues with those items based off of the report that was provided to the task force. And so I just want to make sure that those 3 are included in the master plan: Froggy Saloon, Stewart Memorial United Methodist Church, and Triumph Church. The other 3 did not meet the requirements to be submitted to our team, which were Brooks Cleaners, Made in the Shade, and Chrisman's. I do want to also add some additional information that I think is beneficial for us. There is a team of staff members internally that work in conjunction with our partners, the Chamber of Commerce. The team internally, I just want to share with you, consists of Rose, the project manager with Development Services, Denzel with Code, Shannon with Permitting and Licensing, Angie with Utilities, Brian with Fire, Darren with Traffic, and Blowers with Police. So it is a group of 7 individuals. But as of Tuesday, the master plan operations is moving into the city manager's office, and we are working with our IT department of how we change some of the processes. But thank the Chamber of Commerce for the work they're doing, but not only the Chamber, the other groups for the other different master plans. So I want to just make for the record, Froggy Saloon with entertainment, Stewart Memorial United Methodist Church, and Triumph Church, because of clerical errors, these 3 should be included in the master plan. The other groups will have to go through the special magistrate based off your recommendations if they want to be included in the master plan.
Okay, I just have one question. I would just want on the record, Froggy's Saloon. I just want to make sure it's the original plan that he put in for entertainment.
Yes.
Approved. Okay, thank you.
I do have one speaker, Mr. Hodges.
As Mr. Hodges is coming, do we need to amend our motion to include those 3? If they weren't included?
Yes, I mean, I think you should specifically make the motion to include the 3 additional applications that the manager mentioned.
Okay. Who made the motion?
Okay, so the motion was made by Commissioner Cantu.
Yes.
The second was Commissioner Reed.
I amend my second.
Okay. Okay. And
Mr.
then
Hodges.
Mr. Hodges.
Good evening. My name is Dale Hodges. I live in Holly Hill. I own a business at 100 North Nova Road, which is Blackstone Automotives. I was not aware of the master plan for Bike Week, and I'm here to ask you for either permission or what I need to do to be able to park vehicles at my business during Bike Week.
No, I need, could you provide us your address to see if it even meets the criteria to be in the master plan?
On Mary McLeod and Nova Road at Blackstone Automotives.
Are you behind the,
Save-A-Lot.
behind Crunch?
Yes.
Crunch is on
I don't think that's is that in the master plan zone? No. It is not part of the zone for the master plan. Your ordinance, that's not part of the master plan. We also received one for Keach, but it does not meet the criteria to be in the master plan zone.
So he doesn't know what that means or what
There is a zone for the Bike Week Master Plan that the commissioners have approved for certain areas on the beach side and on the mainland, and that particular address does not meet the boundaries for the master plan. I think they stopped really on the Marion Cloud Bethune. At Fulton is where they stop. But I think as it's moving forward, if that is something that you think should be discussed with staff and as make a recommendation to the commission, that's the process we would have to go through. But it won't be able to be done this year because it stops at Fulton.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding where he is. It's all that parking in the back of where Visions is.
Yeah.
So he couldn't do anything because it's not in the master plan.
No. And you would also have to be approved by the property owner. Do you own the property?
I'm approved by the property owner and I own my.
Okay. But you all would have to expand the zone.
Okay. Our next speaker is John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. About 20 years ago, I took it upon myself to look at the properties around Main Street. There were a couple of broken windows. There was trash all over. There was a lot next to Humphreys. Weeds were up to the waist, and it was okay to have food. So they put the tables on top of the weeds with all the trash around it and had Bike Week in that situation, and I thought it was terrible. We also had 3 businesses that were sort of kind of almost not really open. We had a laundromat with no functioning machines, nobody there, no way to do your laundry. We had a location for photography. The open sign was there and the door was locked. So to me, that's not an open business if you can't get inside. A 3rd location did little decals and patches. Well, the lady sat in a chair at the door and you couldn't go in, and she couldn't sell you anything. So I consider that as not being open either, because the rules said you had to be open a certain number of days. Michael, one of the commissioners years ago, had put that into place. So I came before the commission and was like, oh, well, maybe no, it didn't matter. So Amy Powell came along and boom, they're gone, all right? Teresa Doan recently sold 37 of her properties. Consolidated Tomoka with deep pockets have bought them. If we are ever going to do anything with Main Street, now is the time. Everybody has said, and I don't agree with it, but their comment are bulldoze the whole street, every single building, and rebuild. I don't like that. But we do have to do something. And those people that can sit on their butt, rent for 14 days a year, and close for the remaining 350 is not viable. So if we're ever going to do anything, please, at this point, start looking at Biketoberfest. If that building is not there, find a way of charging on the street with their sales tax so that everybody pays to maintain it. And you're going to lose. If you end up having an empty building, and it's now going on, what, almost 30 years one building has been empty on Main Street? That's a long time to have a building empty. So I'm asking you, okay this, it's too late right now, but please in the future, have them give back. The whole idea of doing this was to allow them to survive. If you remember years ago, Main Street was dying. Once they closed that approach, it was miserable. So I'm asking you, it's been 40 years, time to look at it again. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, I will just say I had a conversation with Commissioner Paris. We were discussing some of these exact things about how do we incentivize for people to do stuff. So staff is going to be looking at some things to bring back from discussion points that have taken place. But I just want to say that Commissioner Paris and I did have a conversation about it. Commissioner Strickland and I wrote about it and others have. But I just want to know staff will be looking at that of how we incentivize to get some of those businesses to open up in this upcoming year.
Do you think we could put a time frame on it? Just so we're all on.
You all will be able to make that decision. Once we bring back some ideas for you, it'll be up to your direction.
Can we have the ideas by a certain time?
We will put a timeline together and you all will say yes, you agree or not agree with them.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments from the commission? Okay, we have a motion.
I have a comment. I think she wanted a timeline on suggestions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just had a meeting with her last week, and I don't want to throw out a timeline here for you all. I need to get with staff, and we've heard from the community to say what it is, because we may not be able to do some incentive this until I'm able to talk to redevelopment. They've walked the property, Angela and Ken and his team, and they're going to be bringing ideas back of how we go about doing that.
Okay.
But I do understand it's not going to be something that we want to wait a whole year.
True. Or 6 months.
And I have one.
I'll follow up.
I have one question, because we talked about this last year too with Bike Week and the businesses down on Main Street. And the online thing was supposed to be up. Are we going to have it up and make it easier for the businesses?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, moving on to item 11C. It's a Growth Management and Planning Department Bike Week 2024 Master Plan for the public property. This is a resolution relating to Bike Week 2024, providing for motorcycle-only traffic and parking in various locations, suspending parking regulations in the commercial areas of the controlled parking district from March 1st through March 10th, 2024, in accordance with Section 94-218D of the City Code, authorizing the city to operate paid parking lots at various locations in the Main Street area, authorizing various activities on public property, and providing for effective date.
So move.
Okay, we're going to take a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner May.
I have no speakers for this item.
No speakers? We have no speakers. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
I'd like to ask a question. Is it Mr. Humphreys? Is your name Humphrey?
Hodges.
Hodges. I knew it was an H. But just for the record, for him to know, we couldn't have made that change tonight. That change would have to been made like when we said to Fulton Street, correct?
Yes.
So who does he need to get in touch with to try to talk about this? Because to come before us again next year saying he didn't know is not going to be acceptable. He needs to know where to go so that he can.
Well, you all will delineate where you want the master plan to stop. If you move it to that location, all of the groups within that area will have the same access to it as well.
I understand.
And so that's the thing. So if he wants to make a recommendation, we've heard it tonight. If you all as a commission want to entertain for next year expanding the zone to beyond Fulton or to that area, it'll be something you all have to discuss as a commission.
And do you, Mr. Manager, offhand know when is the application time for the master plan? Whether we extend it or not, because he didn't even know when he was supposed to even apply, whether he was qualified or not.
What's the normal date, Rose? November.
November.
In April. So in April, this year will be another chance. However, he won't even be able to submit if you are not extending
Correct.
that process, that plan. But hopefully when we announce some of the changes and make the presentation to you all, individuals will come so they can understand what's taking place.
Thank you.
I have a question. How is it advertised, the master plan, if someone needs to, someone that's new, that's in the area?
Well, I can tell you this year we actually put out, I made them put out markers in the community storyboards, but all of the local media outlets, all of the city's social media platforms, we put it in different facilities, buildings, and it's not only us. So unless television, unless there's another location where we can advertise.
But that was probably advertised where it was qualified to be.
Yes.
So.
And does the chamber also?
Yes.
And the chamber
Non-chamber,
does?
CVB.
Okay.
Yeah. Manager's update, she said.
Maybe it should be in a water bill too.
I think it's in one of our alerts there. But to be honest, Commissioner, what happens is if you're not really into that type of stuff, you're not even looking for it. Yeah. I think Commissioner, I almost said Commissioner Ann Ruby. I think I think she wants to speak.
We've already voted.
Oh, they've already voted.
We already voted. So.
I thought you were talking about 11C.
Yes, we already voted on 11C, yeah.
I was just curious why Mr. Hodges can't just apply for a temporary parking permit outside of the master plan.
Did you have a question or a comment?
Go ahead.
No.
Come on.
Yeah, please.
City Rose. See, that's why I called the commission.
Ms. Askew?
Good evening, Rose Askew, Economic and Strategic Development Project Manager. The Land Development Code procedures and policies and procedures for special events require that anybody that's applying for a special event that's part of Bike Week and Biketoberfest to have to apply through the master plan process.
And we changed that recently.
That's correct. That was a recent amendment to the Land Development Code to make sure that all applications that were involved with Bike Week and Biketoberfest were being processed at the same time for continuity with police, fire code, so we would know everywhere in the city where those kind of activities were taking place.
But, go ahead. Mr. Hodges, if he would just get with Rose, because there may be a process to go through Parks and Rec for special events, if that's what he's trying to do, or an event, just that conversation, because we can't have that conversation here. So Rose will get his information and we'll coordinate a meeting with him just to see really what he wants, even if it's not for now, but for previous stuff. I mean,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
in the future. Thanks, Rose.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 12, which is discussion items, and item 12A is the Salary Review Committee report. So on December 5th, 2023, the Salary Committee report was forwarded to the City Commission as per the ordinance, and city staff is requesting the City Commission advise them on moving forward.
So
with an
move.
ordinance.
Second.
Okay.
We need something.
Third.
Is it the intent of the party moving and seconding that you want us to
go.
prepare an ordinance implementing the committee's suggestions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And since we're taking a vote on this, if there's any public speaking, anyone wants to speak on this item? Okay, I have no public speaking.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Cantu. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
That was our last agenda item.
Okay.
We have comments and inquiries from the City Commission.
Okay, we're going to start our
think with Reed.
comments off today with Commissioner Reed, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to be first. Well, the Mayor's Fitness Challenge is off to a great start. Monica tried to kill us last night.
Not me.
We all did.
Not this Monica.
No, not that Monica. She and I both were looking at each other like she's gonna commit a felony by killing two commissioners. Even Mr. Brown was out there, and Sue was out there, working it out. So we've got.
Don't stop, don't quit.
We've got. I thought line dancing was bad on last week, but that kickboxing Saturday was something else. And we've got a lot of people that continue to come back to this and getting engaged. I think I know we were stopping at 150, but I think we were at like 160 or something at this point. And just want to commend Betty on a lot of things that she's doing for somebody that's supposed to be retired. Because I think we started the Citizens Academy again. We've got the Mayor's Fitness Challenge going on. This past week, we did a debriefing of the Children's Christmas Party. It was so well received by the Tortugas that it's going to be an annual thing. They found a method of funding. And, what was really good about that was some of our children, as well as perhaps their parents, had probably never, ever been to the Jackie Robinson Baseball Park. We're trying to figure out how can we implement an educational component for them to know about Jackie Robinson. Not too heavy, but just for them to know why that park is named after that gentleman. We also started planning for the Seafood Festival. So you can go ahead and mark your calendars that the Daytona Beach Seafood Festival, hosted by Commissioner Reed. Who is that? Hosted by Commissioner Reed, will be on April 27th. So get ready for some crabs and seafood. Once again, I think this might be our 4th or 5th year. And we've got the Wilson Foundation will be supporting that. This Saturday, our banners are coming out. You may now see Martin Luther King banners are out. MCDC, Midtown Community Development Corporation, along with the city, are sponsoring the Dr. Martin Luther King banners that you'll see on International Speedway. When those banners come down, our Black History banners will go up. And you can see from the manager's update, the list of individuals that we're recognizing. And I will share with you that one of them here is one of my predecessors, Freddie Moore, who sat in this seat. And so I'm honored to share that with you. And you can see the list of the 16 names that will be represented at that time. I believe that concludes my comments.
I just want to say I'm really excited that we signed this contract today, so we have to start somewhere. While we're starting somewhere, I just wanted to know what my fellow commissioners thought about instructing staff to see what we could do for stormwater management on our area that is east of Ridgewood. Because I know that we have a lot of businesses that keep getting flooded, and especially in my area too, there's a lot of apartment units, and that road just keeps getting flooded. So if we could figure out a way to move that water somehow, because I know that we keep saying that the river keeps getting higher, but we have to figure out where to move that water. So I was hoping that we could get some sort of things stated today, how to direct staff on what we want to do with that stormwater management.
Okay. I received a lot of calls regarding Beach Street in that area as well, some of the businesses after this agreement was going through, and I talked to Mr. Fiacher, and maybe we can have staff and look at that area, what needs to be done, and maybe do some resolutions so they know we didn't forget about them, and maybe have staff, which they can't this session, but start talking to the state with because they're all talking about the DEP resiliency fund, and is that something we can do? Theater.
I think what will be important is for us to show you what we are doing as a city right now. I think people are under the impression that staff is waiting to solve problems, and that is not the case. I think what Commissioner Paris is asking is just for you all to say that this is important, this is valuable, but I will make sure that staff provides you a report, because believe me, every single day, the infrastructure staff is working to figure out ways to move this water. The resiliency item, I think, is something that we should definitely focus on for funding. I think Drew just had a conversation with some individuals at the county, and I support that, that to bring you all something, but staff is actually doing the work now. But the resiliency funds, the direction that Commissioner Paris is talking about, if you were to hear and see what we're doing already, that might help you understand what our utilities department is doing. But I don't have a problem with you all saying that this is important.
Well, put something in writing so they know that we're whatever they are doing, but making sure, because I did talk to some state officials, and they're the ones that told me, which can't happen this session, of course, because they already started, but we can start lobbying for some of this money.
Mr. Fiacher, when do you think staff could make that presentation to us on what we are doing?
I'm going to get with Shannon and Andy tomorrow, and I would try to eventually have something at the next meeting, even just if it's information, but a presentation to you all may not be for the next meeting, because I think it's important what Commissioner Paris wants is so the citizens can also be aware of what we're doing. But we'll try to get a report in writing to you all, but then bring something back maybe the next month as a presentation before the city commissioner, so not only you all can hear, but the general public as well. Then go into what Commissioner Cantu is talking about for the next legislative session, also using some of those resiliency funds for our community. Commissioner Paris, does that work?
That works, yes. Okay. Thank you.
And then I also talked to Congressman Walz, Theater. I also talked to Congressman Walz. And I know it's specifically for the Army Corps, what we just signed, but I do know if there's something happening over at the Halifax that's due to what's happening in Midtown, we will get that as well. So, correct.
That's what the gentleman was saying, that they'll look at this holistically. So if there's an impact that takes place throughout other areas, they'll focus on that. as well. And so hopefully the work that we're doing with our infrastructure improvements can be alleviated and also be in concert with the Army Corps study. But we'll make sure to bring that information back to you all as well.
Thank you. Also, 2 meetings ago, we had 2 agenda items that were before us that had open code violation cases or a warning. So I wanted to know if there was any way that we could implement on the checklist when it comes to the commission for review and or approval, if we could have them include on their checklist with the background paperwork any open code cases that are on those projects. I don't know if we'd have to do anything. We could, okay, that was easy. My other thing is I had spoken to a resident, and someone that was on our beach didn't know where they were because there was no addresses on the wall. So I know that Volusia County and also Daytona Beach Shores put an ordinance. So I just wanted to see, can we have that on the next agenda?
I think there's a process that they're going through because we don't, we're making sure that legally what we can do. I think they're working with your office on the approval for putting the numbers on the back side of, on the beach side of our buildings.
Yes, staff's sent our office a request to draft an ordinance, and we're in the process of drafting one.
Okay. And then we also spoke about the Bike Week Master Plan, so I guess I'll follow up with you on that. And thank you, that's it.
Mr. Strickland?
Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you to all current and past commissioners for working to get the flood plan done with the Corps of Engineers, as well as current and past utility staff. It's about time. I've been here 30 years, and I know what was going on before I moved here. So we need to continue to work with the Army Corps of Engineers and whoever to address the rest of our flooding issues, especially Beach Street. I mean, it's hard for businesses to flourish whenever they don't know if they're going to flood every fall for a hurricane. Another thing, since I now represent the area of Main Street, I saw where we are no longer involved in the Main Street USA project. Is that what it is? How do we get back into that?
It is a process, and you have to have buy-in. The community, the first community I was with, it was the Main Street, and I'll pass it on the redevelopment to look into the Main Street program and what steps have to take place for that. Commissioner, I must call him Commissioner Ken Thomas. As a former director, look,
you elected a lot of commissioners tonight.
Yeah, he as the former president. Are you still the president of the Redevelopment Association? Past president. I know he can get the information, so I'll have him to put something together, Commissioner Strickland, to let you all know what it takes place to have a Main Street program in our community.
Well, I'd like to see that brought back because I stepped out on social media and said that if I get reelected, I would like to, at the end, by the end of my next term, if I'm elected, get us on the top 10 list of best main streets in the state of Florida. We've been sitting around too long going, we need to do something, we need to do something. This seems like a good place to start for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will.
Before we move on to the next commissioner, Commissioner Strickland had offered some funds for lighting in Midtown, and staff was to come back and tell us some numbers because he gave me the eyeball like, why aren't you matching? But I didn't know what I was matching, so I'm waiting for that number so that we can go ahead. I want to know what the number is because the mayor said he would give money as well.
Step up.
Yeah, Hassam has been working with our police department. Everybody wants us to just put money in place and put lights up. But if it doesn't work with us holistically, we'll be just putting patches in. So we're looking at a holistic standpoint to not just spend money because we have it and put lights up. But really, Hassam has done a good work with the police department, trying to figure out the key areas for lighting improvements, but also making sure that when we do lighting improvements, that the redevelopment team is able to help invest in buildings. Because we can put up all the lighting we want to, but if the property owner is not willing to do anything with their property, we're going to still have the same issues. And that's what we're trying to fix. almost said commissioner.
Commissioner May.
A few years back, I went to Kansas City. They were having a Main Street USA yearly conference there, and I went to attend it. And what was interesting was it only works if the community surrounding it buys in, including the businesses. And there is a financial investment that the businesses have to put in and a commitment to maintaining that investment over a period of time because you're getting a lot of resources from that organization. So I think it's a wonderful program. I thought enough of it to go and find out more about it. DeLand has it, and they've done great with it, so obviously we can do it. And we have some people locally who implemented, like Miss Maureen France, I think, who went ahead and did some work with it and helped them to get going, number one. I went to the MLK event at Hard Rock, very nice event. A pleasure seeing everybody, and thank you so much for helping the kids and their scholarships. And thank you all for supporting Campbell Middle School with regard to their 8th school project. They really appreciate it. Thank you. Did they send you a card? I asked them to send a card, just thanking each of us from the students, and I think they're doing that. So. Okay, thank you. So hopefully you got the card saying thank you for your support. Thank you.
I have nothing.
Well, I won't be long-winded like the mayor when he gets up here and his turn to speak. I don't have any comments tonight, but I do want to say that the Mainland Buccaneers are still state champs. And we're very proud. Any comments from you, Mr.?
Yes, 2 comments. I'll do the official business first. You all have requested that we do a business summit that focuses on starting businesses and scaling up businesses. That summit will take place February 24th at the Yvonne Scarlett Golden Cultural and Educational Center. And it also is going to be in concert with our the book fair, book festival that's taking place. We want you all to do both, and we've got a lot of things that are taking place in regards to the pitch competition for your best idea, the opportunity to talk with banks, the Small Business Development Council. So February the 24th, please encourage people to sign up for this summit. And so it'll be a good thing. And Phoebe Fuquay, who is our redevelopment project manager, is leading that summit with Jeff Brown as an assistant and Kim Flaherty as an assistant also for that summit. And we're going to be having commissioners that periodically to make statements. So we'll be reaching out to you that you can even just come in and greet the groups at different times throughout the summit and encourage people to attend. Then I want to do a statement to 2 individuals. If you were at the Martin Luther King banquet, I was the MC. The sheriff made a bunch of bad comments about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what the Eagles were going to do to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I just, in the record, the Tampa Bay Bucks beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, they did.
And he is, and so I want to make that clear. And the mayor's team did not win. Also, so
Steelers.
The Steelers, but those are the 2 items. And as I said, I do see that we have transferred the Bike Week Master Plan project in Rose Askew into the Economic and Strategic Opportunities Department. And so I wanted to say that. So she's here tonight, but we're doing a lot of things that we're looking at of how we make some changes to the Bike Week Master Plan so we don't have our business owners having to go through cycles and also have citizens that have concerns. So I'm going to take those into consideration that deals with, because a prime example is what Mr. Hodges is dealing with. That has been a discussion point that Amy Powell, I believe, has talked about how we separate the parking components from the Bike Week Master Plan. So if that wasn't a part of the Bike Week Master Plan, as a parking component, it might have been just allowing him. That wasn't the case. And that's just things that I've heard in the discussions. And so me, Rose, and Jeff, working with the chamber, we'll bump heads to try to figure out how we make it happen. But our goal is, Rose has learned in the past 2 days that my office is how do we get to yes and not build the bureaucratic barriers. And that's what we're going to try to do to make it work for all involved.
Yes, because we definitely need to be more friendlier with our businesses, where our businesses do not have to hire lawyers as well.
Right. I agree. And I just wanted to say, a big shout out to Stacy for working so hard on that project that we signed tonight. Initially, I don't know if you all remember, when the residents came in, she jumped in from day one and started calling Waltz's office, and day by day, she was working and chipping away and seeing what needed to be done so that we could get this ball really rolling. So I just wanted to say kudos to you.
And if I may, I thanked her as well, because I told her true diversity is when other people that don't look like you speak up for you. Because what she said, I could have easily have said, because it's in Zone 6. But for her to say it had more credence in it, and it felt good for somebody else to stand up for those citizens and not necessarily just their commissioner. That we're all concerned about all of our citizens. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything, Madam Vice Mayor.
Awesome. So we're going to hear from our residents,
Okay.
starting with,
Our first speaker is Marjorie Johnson, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Marjorie Johnson, Daytona Beach. I'm here tonight to talk about the behavior of some of the commissioners who have shown us the most unprofessional behavior that we've ever had here at City Hall. I'd first like to start out by commending Ken Strickland and Monica Paris, because they are outstanding. And this is what we need to represent the city of Daytona, not the rude or professional behavior that we have seen here. You cannot be in a leadership position and be nasty to folks and expect to be respected for your title. You need to come in here and get your work done, treat all of our residents with dignity and respect. And I don't see this on this side of the podium, but these are the two best ones up here. Monica, that's why she's number one, and Ken, he's number two. And they are acting in that capacity by being respectful of all citizens. And that's what we need from all of you. As elected officials, you must face accountability. And I will hold all of you accountable. And you cannot be nasty to folks and expect to be respected because of your title. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So I'd like to see you. We never had this in the past. We have 19 mayors on the board outside. You got us speaking at the end of the meeting, when all the other times, when every 19 mayors was out there, we was speaking in the meeting. Nobody up here spoke up. These two wasn't here when the former city manager took away our freedom of speech in the meeting. I was honored on the front page of the Daytona Times. She speaks for those who can and won't. They did a beautiful article. Ken Strickland was there. He said, I love her. She helps the entire community. She's helped everybody. And also we had Tony Severance there, who's on the planning board. And he said she will hold you accountable. Everybody, and you're getting paychecks. I went in that other day and got a list of everybody's paycheck that you're getting here to do your work. We have no access to Zone 6 commissioner and some of the rest of them that's sitting up in here to earn a free paycheck. I'd like to see you do your job, respect our residents, and be about the people's business. And this is our business because we pay taxes. I just got my tax bill that's running close to $1,000. I've been at my house over 53 years on Key Street, there right behind the IHOP. And I'm paying a lot of taxes, so.
Okay, our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. A couple of things. One, I'm happy to see the update on Beach Street and what's going on there, that we're almost 60% done. I can't wait till it's done. Secondly, where are we at the acquisition of the leased property in the river Remember, we want to acquire the property, to have control over it, to see what happens. So where are we at that point? It's nice to get the $3 million. It really is. But there's also a catch to it. In a couple of years, when it comes to fruition, knock on wood, the bill will be, they're saying $35 to $70 million, our share. So I don't think any one of you have in your COVID funds $70 million left. So we're going to have to come up with $30 million if it's a $100,000 solution, $70 million if it's a $200,000 solution. So keep that in mind when you're spending, to put a little money aside, because we won't have that all in one. There's never going to be a time when we have an extra $70 million just kind of hanging around. Secondly, zoning. I got a late Christmas present. We got sued by the ACLU with our zoning. I told you it was incorrect. This is, you were in a catch-22, all right? I've been trying to find out where we went wrong. Where does it say we have to use the 2020 figures? Because the actuality is you were supposed to divide them equally, not equally from 3 years ago or 4 years ago. The equally was at the time that you divided it. So when you divided it, zones 4 and 5 are so much larger than the beachside zones 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to have to do it anyway. So rather than throw a lawsuit, let's just rezone with the numbers that the University of Florida now has. The commission did it itself in 2000 and 2010. They didn't have outside people doing this for them. So I'm asking you just to not get another lawsuit. Do it on your own. And there's some talk by residents on the beach side. There's an article about development and how the public is trying to halt the development on the beach side. The public is trying to stop development in Ormond. The public is trying to stop development in DeLand. The public is coming out. That's true. But those people that have come out are interested in their area. You all have to be interested in the entire city. There's a resident that wants to tear down all the seawalls, all 5 miles. There's another one who wants to get rid of all the buildings, all 500 buildings on A1A, and then tear down all the residences to put the hotels on our side. They're asking for a lot of things that you can't grant them. So look at these things wisely. It sends a message. Thank you.
Speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Antoinette, is it Nolan? Noellen. I never get that right.
And thank you to our city clerk who kept things rolling. Yes, Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. Congratulations to Commissioner Henry, our substitute mayor, in a very important meeting. You made it through. I know it's not easy being up in that chair sometimes. But this was a very monumental evening. I am so glad that we got this thing signed. I did bring out my comments because, and thank you, commissioners, for jumping on board. We need to start thinking about the rest of this and not just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. As you know, some of you may know, the original Corps of Engineers study was done in 2008 through 2010. In fact, I spoke to the district representative there, and he wasn't even aware of that. And we didn't act on a lot of those things, and it hurt us. This time, looks like we got a little more horsepower. Thank you, Commissioner Cantu, for all of your efforts politically with getting assistance from Washington. We definitely need it, and I think we're going to need some help from the state as well. Commissioner Reed, thank you so much for being part of the Mayor's Fitness Challenge. I love seeing you out there. Yes, Monica is such a bundle of energy. The other Monica. And yeah, what doesn't kill us makes us better, so just keep remembering that. You pointed out something which really struck my heart too, that so many of the young youth and other citizens have not been to the Jackie Robinson ballpark. Doing something with that Orange Avenue Rec Center might improve that opportunity, because it's right there in the middle of it all. So I kind of hate seeing that stagnant. Those of you who have been by the building have noted that there's a lot of windows knocked out. The building is continuing to get damaged. It's not being taken care of. People have used it to dump their boat parts and stuff on it, which took months to get rid of. So I don't know what's going on there, but I certainly hope that our city manager puts a little more horsepower behind it. I know he was in support of the committee when we talked about the opportunities there. I realize that all this stuff takes money, but we need to move forward. I'm hoping that the city will provide opportunities for the public to participate in the flooding areas outside of the Army Corps of Engineers zone. I know I spoke to the Army Corps of Engineers representatives, and they will be having a kickoff meeting, which also will be seeking some public participation. But I do feel it is up to the city to notify the citizens to make sure that they attend. We have 82,000 citizens in this city, and yet we only seem to have the same 30 or 40 people to get involved. It is up to the commissioners here to inspire the citizens to participate in the boards, and especially with this board, I'm sorry to see it got postponed, but for the review of the city charter. So please inspire your citizens. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Antoinette Noelian, and on deck is Emily Nice.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, city officials. Campbell Middle School is a beacon of success for our students and needs your help. We produce students who are known to have received honors and awards for outstanding placement in academic and performing arts competitions. Our students are gaining positive exposure throughout the community, and members of the Student Government Association will continue to present Campbell Middle School at its fullest. To positively reinforce the great behavior and academic grades the students are accomplishing, we are asking for your consideration to invest a donation to further prepare them for success. Campbell Middle School is a Title I school, which means we have a rather large percentage of economically disadvantaged students enrolled. The SGA students are involved in skills training and character building to teach them how to dress how they want to be addressed. We are asking for your generous support to donate $1,000 that will be utilized to purchase royal blue color polo shirts in various sizes, facilitate the funding needed for a field trip to the Daytona Beach City Hall, and ongoing character building workshops this academic year. The shirts will be given to the SGA members to be utilized as uniform shirts for their group activities and community events. The field trip to City Hall will provide the students with a real-world experience of how the local government functions, and the ongoing character building workshops will provide key learning opportunities for the students and engage them with invited experts in various fields. Join us by showing your support and investing in the #1 Spartans. With your gracious help, we can uphold some of the long-standing traditions of Campbell Middle School, and I thank you for your valued and continued support of our students. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Emily Nice, and on deck is Suzanne Odina.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to clarify a couple things regarding safety, and as most of you know, if it regards a safety issue, I'm probably going to speak up about it, even though I don't like public speaking. The first issue is a clarification from our December 20th City Commission meeting, and that was where the 999 North Atlantic came up for a zoning extension, which I agree to, of course. But I just wanted to clarify, during that meeting, it seemed like the property was in compliance. It was absolutely not in compliance. You all saw the statement from code dated December 21st that it was not in compliance. And there again, the property was brought up before the special magistrate on January 9th, where the special magistrate told the owner's representative that if it was not in compliance by February 7th, he would fine him $1,000 a day. So for all of this time, The property has not been in compliance, and I say this because this has been a safety issue in our neighborhood. It's a dilapidated building. He purchased it in March, and it took until November, just the week before the November special magistrate meeting, that he finally put a pool cover over it. So for less than $1,000, we went 8 months with an open, unsecured pool in a very high residential tourist district, very visible, where we could have had a drowning. And it just so happens, I do have good news, that I found out that the state of Florida does have statutes. They are concerned about drownings as well. So I've had some emails and correspondence regarding their statutes and the coordination between code enforcement, the building department, and growth management. And thank you, Commissioner Paris, for mentioning the code status before each application, because information is important, transparency is important, and especially for these abandoned, neglected properties where owners have a lot of time to correct these dangerous conditions that are proven by statistics nationally, consistently, to attract crime and be a problem for the neighborhood. So thank you so much for being diligent and transparent. Commissioner Cantu.
I do have a question. When we voted on that and we were told it was in compliance, it was not.
Absolutely.
And was it a new owner?
The owner bought it in March. That's applying for it.
Okay. Because VHS staff told us it was, and it was a new owner. If you go back and look at the commission. Thank you, Emily.
Okay. Our next speaker is Suzanne Odina, and on deck is George St. Pierre.
My name is Sue Odina, and I live at 716 North Wild Olive. I came to invite you again to our next Interfaith and Community Resource Network Sharing Conference. It's January 28th at the Islamic Center of Daytona Beach on Brentwood and Derbyshire. This conference will deal with navigating healthcare and insurance in all stages of life. It'll deal with scams. We have the Daytona Beach Police Department Seniors Against Crime, and Will Roberts will be speaking on scams. We'll also be talking about affordable housing, and we will have a presentation by Scott Banta, who is doing a tiny home community. It only took him 2.5 years to get approved in DeLand, Florida, on 17 acres. We will also have the Daytona Beach Police Department and the Volusia County Sheriff's Department speaking on human trafficking. We happen to be the 3rd worst place in the nation, the I-4 corridor, for human trafficking. That's both sex trafficking and work trafficking. And with Beach Week coming up, it's something that is really heavy on our minds. This happens to be Human Trafficking Month, so you will be seeing lots of presentations on that. Just for your information, the Interfaith Sharing Community is networking opportunities between religious organizations and community resources throughout Volusia County. It's an opportunity for those sources to bond together, and perhaps maybe we can all get together and do some projects together to make the community a better place. Our website is icresourcenetwork@gmail.com. Thank you.
Sue, what time is it?
It's 1:30 to 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Our next speaker is George St. Pierre, and on deck is Holly Beckwith.
Hello, I'm George St. Pierre. I own Jungle George's at 1022 Main Street. I never come before you guys. You guys do a wonderful job running the city, and thank you. However, I have an issue with the person that has the store right directly beside me. I'm not sure if you received my text messages, Mr. Strickland. I have met with Rose and Jim Morris on a separate incident the other day, and I showed them both pictures of it. My neighbor is dumping a 25-pound bag of chicken feed in front of his store, around his store on a daily basis. Cornita May has seen it, and she has last year put up a sign that says no feeding the wildlife, and that's at Breakers Park, directly facing this guy's store. He doesn't care. I mean, I'm going to start with tomorrow. I'm going to send all of you guys the pictures as well, and this is from today. I'm going to be sending them to you. And there are darn near 2,000 pigeons. And sidewalks are full of pigeon poop. I am tired of scrubbing these things. It's a health issue. And even Jim Morris said it was a health issue. So if you guys, and he said, why don't you call the police? The police can't do a darn thing. And it's a city ordinance. The city ordinance, they can't do anything unless they physically see them dumping it. And it's not like 2,000 pigeons are hanging out on the corner of Ocean Avenue and Main Street just waiting for a few crumbs of pizza crust. If there's anything that you can suggest that I could do, I would be glad to do it. Any suggestions? That's all I've got to say. I've never come before you guys.
This business owner has been going through this for 4 or 5 years. Religiously, when he sent me pictures when I was his own commissioner, I'd be sending them to code, to the city manager, to the police. We've tried to work this so many ways. We've also had issues with people in golf carts soliciting and taking people from the area into other parts, into Ormond Beach, let's say. We've dealt with that, and as often as we've sent emails and spoken to people, et cetera, the best we could do was a sign.
And I got a sign. But, I mean, you got a health issue. Either we need to clean these sidewalks on a regular basis, like once a week at least. You got kids walking around barefoot. Not that I would let my child walk around barefoot in Daytona Beach. God, I lived there on that corner.
I will come by your business tomorrow and talk to you and see what's going on there.
Okay, I would greatly appreciate it.
I have another number for you to send a text to.
Okay, that's
right.
what I've been texting you on, is that number right there on your.
One on this card?
Yeah.
I'll give you another number.
I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Holly Beckwith, and on deck is Steve Miller.
Practicing on you guys. This is the Presidential Award for Volunteer Service that the Art Army received last night. I happen to have had one. It's interesting tonight to be here. I didn't want to leave, but I came for a reason. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Belvedere Fuel Farm. You are all invited to come to the county and speak for the moratorium dealing with the zoning issues. That was really my point for coming tonight. But there's so many things that go on, and of course I would continue my thoughts in an email later because I won't get to finish it. I never do. But I figure it's fair enough. A lot of people come up here to complain, I guess, about this, that, or the other, but if I want to give the city any respect, it having been Martin Luther King's birthday or holiday, that our city police officers don't kill people like Tyree Nichols. And I think that's to be commended, that we deal with so many hundreds of thousands of people on a yearly basis, but yet they keep it together. Somehow we all survive. That's the award for the Art Army. I asked that hopefully they would stomp through here and at least do a victory lap. But Mr. Attorney, I have found one of the problems, I think, that would help our city move forward. I found it as policy 1.3.3. It talks about rushing redevelopment, and I don't think that's very respectful to the community if we need the time to be able to communicate with the citizens that live here and pay taxes. I'd like to know what lawsuit Mr. Nicholson's talking about. I didn't get the memo. I work. This is my only day off, or one of my only days off. But yes, the theme to Rocky, not only do we need a sister city that's quality, I think Daytona Beach needs a theme song, and it's Rocky. Those are my points. Thanks for not looking at me. I really appreciate the respect.
Good job.
Okay. Our next speaker is Steve Miller, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
Steve Miller, 383 Walnut Street, beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. Again, it's great to see the mothers of our city and, of course, one city father here today. I think you guys still the best commissioner in the entire state of Florida. I also want to say to you all, I have my dear co-friend here, Emily Nice. We tried to make sure that you guys got compensated for the work that you have been doing, and I'm glad that you all recommended that we go forward with the recommendation of the salary committee. I really think that you guys deserve a raise. And the last but not least, I would really love to see you, Mr. Ben Gross, at our next city commission, not city commission, but zone meeting, neighborhood watch meeting. We appreciate it, sir. I'll talk to you this week. Thank you.
Our final speaker this evening is Ruby.
Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. You know, there are many different paths to the same place. And one of the big issues we were having on the beach side was the noise coming from the Streamline bar at the top of the roof. And when the manager, who now manages 999 North Atlantic, took over management of the Streamline, that went away. The neighbors had tried using code, using police. For years, nothing brought relief. But when they sat and talked with that man, he made it happen. He made it happen. I don't think there have been any police calls since then. There have been a couple of times when the noise has gotten out of hand. They call him up right away and it gets shut down. So sometimes you don't always have to go through code, through police. Sometimes it pays to talk to the actual owner. Now, that's not always going to work. The guy throwing pigeon feed on the lawn, probably not going to work. But it is worth a try in this case because he is a phenomenal community, responsive community member. That's been our experience. So the other thing is, now that I've talked about many different paths to the same place, I'm going to take the same path I always have, straight ahead. I'm an episodic mail opener. I only open my mail every 6 months. So I opened up all my utility bills, and in every one, there's a brochure, a flyer. So why can't, for the month of February, we put in the brochure about the Black Heritage Trail? Why can't that go in the brochure? I think it would be a very valuable thing. It would get the trail walk, people walking on the trail. You know, it'd be great if we had it all up and running with audio, visual, app things that went with it. But to just start with a simple brochure, I think it would fit. It's a trifold. I'll be happy to send the city electronically.
I think it's going to be in there with the actual banners as well.
Okay.
Matching the banners.
But so you're saying that every utility bill there's a newsletter?
It seems like in every utility bill there's a newsletter.
That means you mean our utility bill, right?
Yeah. From the water department.
Oh.
Maybe I'm just lucky.
Oh.
Yeah, but I was told we can't do that because it's too expensive. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. I'm getting all this colored paper. So I just think it would be a useful thing to include. And I'll be happy to send it. I think I have sent it electronically, so the city could modify it however they wanted. But
we're actually doing, I think, a video of the trail, something that Commissioner May, as we're talking about, we've got a team that's actually trying to do a walking tour of all of our sites where it'll be able to be on our website.
okay, I mean, there are apps you can sign up for, and then when you go by the site, you can pull up videos. So that way you could have videos of members. Like so many of our things are churches. You know, it would it would be meaningful to have church members talk about their experiences there as children.
That's what we're having.
You know, and I mentioned that before, so.
Also, how are we on the QR codes? Are we going to, oh, perfect.
We're doing the recordings now.
Sweet. Thank you.
Very good, very good.
I'd like to say something, Madam
I like
Mayor.
that.
Just a point of clarification. As you all know, I live in Midtown in the redevelopment area, and it concerned me earlier when one of my constituents came forward and said they paid $1,000 a month for their taxes. I went to the appraiser's page, and I know I didn't pay that much, and I live right around the corner. And it says here $218. So I was kind of concerned that if they were paying $1,000, that they were being overcharged, but perhaps that was just a different bill that they had seen.
That's it?
Before, I just have one more question. I know I sent it over to you today, but I have residents in Margaritaville. When am I going to get an answer with the utility bills? They say they do not receive utility bills. They only receive the late notice bills.
Yeah, and we have a company that sends out our utility bills. They're researching to see if utility bills went out to those individuals.
Okay, and when will I?
Once they get the information back, it's our company that deals with it. But if people call in and said they haven't received the utility bill and they can identify that, they don't get charged a late fee.
Okay, so I need to tell 150 residents. Okay.
Call utility billing.
That was our last speaker. Good night, Daytona Beach.